Redditors who have dated celebrities, how'd it go? D-lister and most insecure and narcissistic person I know. I really did care about him, but I couldn't handle the lack of accountability and them always having to be right or the center of attention. Too much. I will stick to my non-celebs. I dated an actor who played the lead in an Oscar-nominated movie. He was charming at first but turned out to be the most self-centered and insecure person I've known. He needed constant attention and praise. He would call me at least 5 times a day to talk about himself. He constantly wanted me to confirm his dick was huge. It wasn't. Complained about not having a prettier face. Tore himself down as an actor but got angry if I didn't contradict him, etc., etc. Utterly draining. Like an energy vampire or something. I called it quits after 1 month. It was surreal with very little private time for him to be himself. I knew him from high school before fame, so he liked being himself around me. Ultimately, he became very controlling, no one tells them no, and upset, so would drop my life for his. The social and financial power imbalance is always present. I dated a Hollywood actor. He took me to a Hollywood party, where all the other celebrities left with a Hollywood actress. I met enough celebrities that night not to care, although I do like to say they all got to meet me, did get invited to more Hollywood parties, and was blown away that it was all the same people at every single party. I met Hugh Jackman on the streets of New York, drinking a Pilsner out of a paper bag and eating a slice of pizza. I was on my way to see the Violent Femmes at Roseland Ballroom. I totally asked him to come with me. He said no, but I took it as a win. It's not every day you get to ask out Hugh Jackman. Edited to add, I was the one drinking beer and eating pizza. Hugh was just out for a stroll. And it was the last show ever at the Roseland Ballroom. I dated a fairly famous female heavy metal musician for a while. The long-distance constant travel thing ended up being very much not for me, so we ended things. R.J. Mitty Walt Jr. from Breaking Bad hit on my daughter at a poker tournament and bought her a drink. She had to gently tell him she was waiting for her hubby who was in the tournament. She said he was super nice and laid back. Lol. My friend's friend hooked up with John Mayer after one of his concerts in his tour bus. She said he was a horndog and was into butt sex. I sat next to Natalie Portman on a plane once. We talked all about designer handbags. And then were there for each other through some bad turbulence. She was already taken. And I'm gay. But it was still a relationship I'll never forget. My friend almost dated Marissa Tomei. Apparently she has a thing for balding men. About 8 years ago, I met Corey Feldman at a Comic-Con. He proceeded to ask me out. I respectfully declined. Then he tried to get me to go to a haunted house with him. I'm much younger than he is, haha. My parents say I could have been with a D-list celebrity every time we watch a movie he was in. He was an NHL player. We dated for about 8 months and actually were engaged. I broke it off and give back the ring when I realized being a hockey wife would make me go insane in the long run. Never dated, but once had dinner with Nichelle Nichols. She was the most amazing person I ever met, full of great stories and would sing at the drop of a hat. She was a true American treasure. Once I found myself in one of those one-seater restrooms in a Starbucks in Manhattan right in front of the ABC studios. I think it was like 74th Street in Columbus. Anyway, I had run in because I had to take a giant shit and it took a couple of minutes to get it all, but it ended up to be a big mountainous triple flusher and it was rank. By the time I got out there was a line for the restroom and Rosie O'Donnell was in the front of the line. I smiled at her because I recognized her and she smiled back, I think. Then she went in there. This isn't at all like dating a celebrity, but it's a pretty intimate experience, I think. My mom dated the guy who invented Crazy Bones. I had all of the original ones. We used to go to schools and do demonstrations. Back then he struggled, but eventually after my mom broke up with him his company blew up and was bigger than Pogs. Not me but a coworker's sister-in-law. She hooked up with TJ Miller in the late '00s before he hit Hollywood and was still a traveling stand-up comic. My coworker, his wife, and sister-in-law all went to a comedy show where TJ hooked up with the Sill and they all went back to their house to presumably drink and hang where he spent the night. In the morning they found the front door open and the cookies the wife had cooked the night before were gone. He wouldn't shut up about it for years until he finally saw the guy and realized it was the same person. TLDR: TJ Miller is an alleged cookie thief. Dated an actress for a while. Not a household name, but one of those oh yeah, I think I know her from X kinda people. Very respected and won some credible awards. Met a lot of her friends. Many also I guess B-list actors similar to her. And one or two A-listers whose names Reddit would know for sure. The main thing I found was her and her friends were all super insecure. I think it's just the nature of the work, the industry that breeds that. Apart from that, was a pretty regular relationship. We broke up, largely due to her insecurities. She's married with a kid now. Hope she's happy. My wife was on Delicious Destinations. Does that count? She's my celebrity lol. My cousin dated Josh Hartnett for a little bit during college. This was before he got his big break in Pearl Harbor and became famous. ETA my cousin's a lot older than me. But from what she said he was a sweet guy. I think they met at her friend's high school reunion and hit it off. I dated a male model who did runway and photo for Ralph Lauren and Calvin Klein. Does that count? He was super pretty and absolutely zero chemistry. He went on to be in a HGTV show. My grandmother's ex-husband dated Marilyn Monroe. His family helped my great-great-grandparents escape from Germany at the start of World War II. I once banged Eartha Kitt in an airplane bathroom. He was a D-lister, very charismatic. Handsome, but he wasn't getting much work, so he was bitter. He knew how much I was into him. So much so I gave him money to help with bills etc. I was fucking stupid. He used me. Now he's back in the circuit with a new young woman doing all the things he promised to do with me. So I guess I'm bitter now, but the experience helped me learn to be tougher. He may be doing well, but he's always going to be a nasty person on the inside. Karma will get him. Liv Tyler and I were on the same plane once and stood somewhat close to each other in the baggage claim in Nice, France, while we both waited for our luggage. It was amazing. Didn't date but hooked up with Miley Cyrus after Lollapalooza. I was working one of those big-ass beer tents at one of the many stages. Had to stay late to clean after the show was over, and guess who comes over after we stopped selling to buy a drink? I offered to buy her one. Just not at Lolla, and the rest is history for me lol. That Veronica Vaughn is one piece of ace, I know from experience, dude. One of my best friends dates and married into a wealthy, famous foreign family. Luckily, he was also famous for a time. He's controlling himself, but he married the one woman who can out-control him and tell him what to do, and it made him a much better man. He needed someone more dominant than him. Funny how that works. They have a great marriage. Had dinner with Terry Hatcher when we were in our late 30s. Got a hug. Good night. That is all I have to report. Friend's mom dated Tony Hawk back in the day. She apparently barely ever saw him. A little too committed to the sport. On and off 7 years. Currently in the off. She was a homebody, so that was nice. Going out and her getting hit on constantly was a bit draining for us both.